Hey guys, so this is Lauren Reverse. She typically does videos analyzing Final Fantasy, as you can see right behind me. See? Right here. Uh she's made some really interesting videos. This time she did a video on Kingdom Hearts, so I have no idea what she has to say about this one. We're gonna jump in and see what it's all about. Yeah. I actually did not play Kingdom Hearts as a kid. I didn't play it until I was an adult, and I thoroughly loved it. I don't normally say this about the stuff I like to play and watch, but I feel like Kingdom Hearts is better if you don't think about it too hard. Please don't think about it too hard. You will hurt yourself. It's almost better to try and feel the game instead of think about it. So, all right, let's jump in.
I've been having these weird thoughts lately.
Don't worry, Sora. That's just the plot.
Do you remember the exact day your childhood ended? Probably not. But Kingdom Hearts builds an entire prologue around that moment. There is a moment in everyone's life when childhood ends. Most of us never realize when that moment happens.
Okay, so I wasn't expecting to get this personal less than 30 seconds into the video. I imagine most people probably can't pinpoint the exact moment their childhood ended. But for me, it was when I was 8 years old and my mother died. She and I were in a car accident, and well, I managed to survive, albeit injured pretty badly. She passed away. And so for me, that always kind of felt like the moment my childhood ended because, one, my mom wasn't there anymore, and two, death wasn't this abstract concept anymore. Not only did I personally witness it, I almost experienced it. For me, I never really went through that phase a lot of kids, and especially boys, go through, where they think they're invincible, where they think nothing can hurt them, because for me it was made very abundantly clear that I could get hurt, I could die. And I don't know how that affected me. Maybe it led to me making different choices than I would have otherwise. But, for me, that was a very clear delineation between when my childhood ended and what came after, because I wasn't an adult by any stretch of the imagination. Hell, I still don't feel like an adult sometimes. But I still feel like I had a very short, truncated childhood. And I genuinely don't know what to call that era between when it ended and when I entered the adult world at 18, 10 years later. Okay, back to the funny Kingdom Hearts people.
Years later, we look back and understand that there was a final summer, a final ordinary day, a final moment when the world still felt permanent.
Yeah, for me it wasn't summer, it was actually fall. It was a little after Thanksgiving.
At the beginning of Kingdom Hearts, Sora, Riku, and Kairi are living through that moment without knowing it. They spend their days racing each other, joking, dreaming about distant worlds, and building a raft across the ocean beyond the horizon. To them, Destiny Islands is simply home, a place they believe will always be there. But growing up sometimes means losing the place you wanted to return to. And that is where Kingdom Hearts truly begins. When we first arrive in Destiny Islands, nothing feels urgent. Sora spends his days racing his friends, collecting supplies, exploring familiar places, and talking about the future as if there will always be time to reach it.
Yeah, so did anybody else hate the tutorials in Kingdom Hearts? I found them kind of obtuse and in some cases difficult.
Everything about Destiny Islands feels permanent. And that's what makes it feel like childhood. Childhood is often remembered as a period of safety and simplicity, but one of its most important characteristics is the belief that things will stay the way they are forever. The people around us will always be there. Home will always be there. The life we know will always be waiting for us. Sora still believes this.
Yeah, I don't know if a lot of people can relate to what she said, but what she said didn't describe my upbringing at all. I already gave you that whole story with my mom, and I also moved around quite a lot. Let's say I went to 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I went to about 5 different schools between 1st and 6th grade. And then I went to 3 different middle schools now that I think about it. And so I never really made it's not that I didn't make friends, I just didn't make a whole lot of close friends. Combine that with my own social shortcomings. I mean, I am a VTuber after all. You totally saw it coming. And it really wasn't until I was an adult that I was able to make close friends. And unfortunately, the older you get, the harder it is to really make friends. That's why a lot of older people rely on their families for social support. And when I say families, I mean their spouses and children.
But Kingdom Hearts quietly shows us that something has already started to change. Riku constantly talks about leaving the island. He wants to know what exists beyond the horizon. He jokes about Sora's feelings for Kairi. He challenges Sora, provokes him, and pushes every conversation toward the future. These moments are easy to dismiss as ordinary conversations between friends, but they...
If I recall correctly, I think Sora is supposed to be 13 in this game, and Riku is supposed to be 14. I completely reject these ages, because while I can totally believe a 13 and a 14-year-old would try to make a raft to leave their island home, I cannot believe that they would think 3 coconuts would suffice for rations. Nah, in my head, they're like 8 or something.
Reveal something important. The 3 of them are no longer children in the way they used to be. Their relationships are changing. Their interests are changing. The future has started to occupy a place that childhood normally reserves for the present. Without realizing it, they have already begun the process of leaving Destiny Islands behind. The raft is one of the most important objects.
Holy audio shift, Batman. Okay. Man. Hopefully that doesn't happen to me in this video.
In Kingdom Hearts. On the surface, its purpose is simple. Sora, Riku, and Kairi want to leave Destiny Islands and discover what exists beyond the horizon. But children rarely think about leaving home. They imagine adventures, but they also assume that home will still be there when those adventures are over. The raft is different. Building it requires Sora, Riku, and Kairi to acknowledge something they have never had to confront before. Their world is no longer enough. For the first time in their lives, they are preparing for a future that exists somewhere else.
Yes, and as you get older, that is a perfectly natural thing to feel. there's a reason teenagers will get all angsty and start rebelling against their parents, because their brains, and I'm going to avoid going too much into the neuroscience here, but they have matured and developed both physically and emotionally enough to realize that there is a much bigger world out there, that their house and their school is not even a fraction of everything there is to experience. But they lack the means and the capacity to really go out and explore it. And that's why the adults in their lives, in some ways, they do try to restrain them. They try to keep them within boundaries to keep them safe, to keep them from doing something that will either have a negative impact on their future or cause them real physical harm. Even if at 13 or 14, like these guys are supposed to be, or even 16, 17, we just are not equipped to handle all the world's challenges. And that's what adults are for. People who have done all that, they've done that song and dance, and they are able to use their experience to help guide us. I talk about it with my friends all the time. None of us felt like adults at 18. I said a few minutes ago, I still don't feel like an adult sometimes. And if we do want to go into the neuroscience a bit, it isn't really until 25, 26 that your brain has really fully developed, specifically the frontal lobe. That's when you're able to most acutely anticipate the consequences of your actions. That's a combination of your physical development plus having, a decade and a half of experience to draw on. That 14-year-old who, all he or she has ever experienced was go home, my parents are there every day, I wake up and I go to school. That's just not enough experience to make smart decisions when you're faced with novel situations.
This is why so much of their time on Destiny Islands is spent gathering materials, making plans, and talking about what comes next. The raft itself almost becomes secondary. What matters is the decision behind it. They have already begun to detach themselves from the life they have always known. And what makes these moments so effective is that none of them understand the weight of that decision. To them,
any of us?
This is an adventure. But we rarely recognize the moments that divide our lives into a before and an after. Only later do we understand that there was a point where staying stopped being an option. For Sora, Riku, and Kairi, that point is the raft. Of the three friends, Riku is the one who seems most aware that their lives are changing. He talks about the outside world more than anyone else. He is the one who pushes the idea of leaving Destiny Islands. He constantly challenges Sora, both physically and emotionally. At first, this can look like confidence, but there is also impatience. Riku has already begun to feel something that...
Yeah, there's a very fine line between confidence and recklessness. And it can often be difficult to recognize it in our own lives. But that's also why young people, and I'm just going to be blunt, especially guys, will do stupid, reckless things. Because they are mistaking arrogance and bravado for skill and confidence.
That Sora still hasn't fully understood. Childhood is temporary. This becomes clear in the way he talks about Kairi.
The diamonds are forever.
He repeatedly teases Sora about his feelings for her, turning something that once belonged to the simplicity of childhood friendship into something more complicated.
especially as the series goes on, I genuinely question if Sora has the intelligence to be in an actual consenting relationship. Uh, he's a good guy, but let's be real, he's not the sharpest keyblade in the shelf, in the drawer. Blech.
The joke itself is not important. What matters is what the joke reveals. The relationship between the three of them is changing. They are becoming aware of themselves and of each other in new ways. The dynamic that defined their childhood is beginning to disappear. Riku seems...
Was Kingdom Hearts an allegory for puberty all along? You know what? Knowing Nomura, I wouldn't be surprised.
Seems to recognize this before anyone else. His desire to leave Destiny Islands does not come from rejecting it. In many ways, it comes from understanding that he cannot stay there forever. At some point, many of us realize that the places that made us who we are can no longer contain the people we are becoming.
In some ways, it almost seems like, from how she's putting it, Riku's rejection of Destiny Island wasn't out of a lack of understanding, but almost from an abundance of understanding. That he recognized that as he grew up, became older and more mature, he wouldn't be able to stay home, that he would eventually have to go out and make his own way in the world. And not necessarily because he didn't like Destiny Island, but almost like he wanted to just rush past everything in between and be like, well, I'm going to have to do it eventually. Might as well do it now.
And while Sora still
without recognizing the importance of that interim period,
believes that tomorrow will look like today, Riku has already started looking beyond the horizon.
You know, we never did hear back from Sora's parents. This is like the one time we actually get any information about them, and it's just his mom saying dinner is ready.
They spend their final days in Destiny Islands preparing for a journey. They gather supplies, build their raft, and talk about the world beyond the horizon. For them, the future is something they have chosen. They believe that when they are ready, they will leave together. But they never get that chance. On the night before their departure, Destiny Islands is consumed by darkness. There is no journey.
Oh, don't worry, Sora. That's just called night. See, that's what happens when the sun goes down. You know, no light equals darkness. Completely normal.
There is no farewell. There is no opportunity to stop and understand that this is the last time they will ever experience their world as it was. One moment,
I hated fighting that guy.
Destiny Islands is home. The next, it is gone. This is what gives the opening of Kingdom Hearts its emotional weight. Sora, Riku, and Kairi believe they are standing at the beginning of an adventure. Instead, they are experiencing the end of a chapter of their lives that they didn't realize was ending. And perhaps that is why Destiny Islands remains so memorable. Because it is the last place where Sora was allowed to be a child. When Sora arrives in Traverse Town, he has lost everything that defined his life. Destiny Islands is gone. Riku is gone. Kairi is gone.
God, I love this music.
And yet, Sora's first instinct is not to accept that loss. It is to search for them. Sora begins his journey because the life he knew has disappeared. The future that he, Riku, and Kairi imagined for themselves never happens. They never leave Destiny Islands together. They never experience the journey they spent so much time preparing for. Instead, they are separated and forced onto different paths. Looking back, it becomes difficult not to see Destiny Islands as more than just the opening location of Kingdom Hearts. It represents a moment in life that cannot be preserved. Because growing up sometimes means losing the place you wanted to return to. Most of the time, it doesn't happen in a clear moment. It happens in small days that feel normal while they are happening. Conversations that seem ordinary. Plans that feel certain. Time spent with people you assume will still be there later.
Yeah, that's one of the sad things about growing up is we'll often think back to the friends we had to leave behind, and we'll be sad about it because they were our friends, and either maybe it was because of a stupid argument or maybe it was just the way life went. Uh they we ended up going our separate ways, and we will think, man, what if we were able to reconnect? What if we had been able to stay together longer? And we don't necessarily realize that it was for the best that you went your separate ways. That it was only by not having them with us and having that, either that social that emotional crutch to lean on, that we were able to grow up and become who we were meant to be. You know?
Sora never knows that the days on Destiny Islands are the last ones where everything still fits together. There is no warning for when that changes. No control over when it ends or how it ends. One moment, it is just childhood. The next, it is already gone.
So yeah, that was Lore in Reverse. Go ahead and give her a look, see what else she has. She has some really good videos. But yeah, growing up sucks. Let's all be real. But I'm reminded of something my dad always says. He likes to say, getting old sucks, but it beats the alternative. Ultimately, we have to keep going on. We have to grow up. Because the alternative is stagnation. We just stop, and one day we look back and realize, holy crap, all this time has passed, and I haven't done anything with my life. We look back and all those dreams we had as a kid, some of them might have been stupid, some of them may have been perfectly obtainable, but we let life beat us down and we never achieved them. But the nice thing is we can always start living again. We can always get back up and start moving forward. Anyways, y'all have a good day. I'll probably react to some more of her videos, and bye.